His players took the stand and described what they went through in horrifying detail.
I was thinking, what is he doing? He's being weird, and that I was never coming back over his house.
Now a high school basketball coach is headed to trial for sex crimes. Late today, a judge moved the case of Farmington High basketball coach Jeremy Tomkins to trial.
He's accused of grooming and sexually abusing two young players. One is 16, the other was 15 at the time. Both teens facing their coach in court today. Sean Lay is live at 36th District Court. And Sean, I would imagine it was difficult for the teens to face the coach that they were so close to.
You would think so, and it was difficult. We just walked out of 36th District Court. This was a long hearing, a lot of testimony from two witnesses, those two teens. But they faced their coach. They were very clear in what they were describing as alleged grooming behavior that went over time, and then alleged inappropriate and unwanted sexual touching. Here's the latest.
We were very close, and he was my coach.
In a clear voice, this 16-year-old Farmington High student told the court in graphic detail an October 7th encounter he had with his trusted Farmington basketball coach, Jeremy Tomkins. He called Coach J, turned into an unwanted sexual encounter. A relationship so close with him and other teen players, he says he and many of the teens would spend the night at Tompkins' Detroit home 5 nights a week. One reason was for early morning workouts. Another was, he says, the 43-year-old coach wanted to talk business with him and the other players.
He told us that he was going to help us become millionaires and help us become wealthy.
But the teen says business was rarely discussed. He says Tompkins discussed his nightly marijuana use, and the teen says October 7th, Tompkins gave him a massage. Only this time, the coach turned out the lights. The teen says the coach allegedly fondled him under his underwear. The teen first thought it was a mistake. Then he says the coach got back on top of him.
He was trying to pry them apart.
Were you letting him pry your arms apart?
No.
Were you saying anything to him at this time?
Yes.
What were you saying?
I was saying, all right, Coach J, repeatedly, and also saying, you're the cheat code, repeatedly.
Why were you saying, all right, Coach J?
To try and convince him to get off of me.
Another young player who was 15 testified that the coach grabbed his thigh. Judge King concerned that there could be other alleged victims out there who have yet to come forward.
If these facts are true, then it's likely, and I don't know this for certain, but it's likely that there are others out there.
Back here live again, the judge moving this case to circuit court and now trial. It's important to point out Farmington schools fired this particular coach once they got these allegations and these charges were filed. In the meantime, the judge also, guys, addressed bond. He was on house arrest, but now Judge King raising that bond to $100,000, 10%. Again, he's concerned about potential contact with other kids. Back to you.
And Sean, the relationship this coach had with his team went very deep.
Very deep, very personal, of course, and they did like their coach, Jay, they said. And here's the deal. Very personal that he would drive to Farmington Hills from Detroit, pick them up, and bring them back to his home in Detroit. So that was a question for prosecutors. Why were you going through those steps? Also, the testimony was that he would tell the kids to get them the permission to spend the night. He would call their moms. He said, I know just what to say. Allegedly, he said he knew just what to say to get the moms to agree to have them stay over. So some manipulation there, if true.
Yeah. Okay. Sean, we appreciate your report this evening. Our other top story tonight, James and Jennifer Crumbleys will now have separate trials. A judge granting that request late this afternoon.
Yeah, the couple has been going through the legal process with their cases combined until both of them filed paperwork with the court today. Will Jones is live on this story for us tonight. Will, the trial date is right around the corner. It's coming up in January.
Damon and Kimberly, this will garner a lot of attention across the country. After putting forth a united front, the Crumbleys no longer want their fates to be tied together in court. I spoke with a legal expert this afternoon and asked what this change of strategy could mean for their respective cases. After reviewing recently provided discovery, attorneys for James and Jennifer Crumbleys are now requesting their clients be tried separately, pointing to additional interviews conducted by police. Some of the reasons for separate trials cited in their respective motions are to promote fairness and to ensure the jury reaches a fair determination of the guilt or innocence of each of them. The Crumbleys, who are parents of the Oxford school shooter, are facing involuntary manslaughter charges.
Something in those witness statements has caused the lawyers for both the Crumbleys parents to decide independently that whatever this witness is going to say, or whatever these witnesses are going to say, causes an issue with both of them sitting at the defense table.
The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office responding to their motion, saying the conflict is not a new issue and that prosecutors raised this issue over a year ago. But the prosecutor's office admits the Crumbleys are entitled to separate trials because some of the evidence introduced against the co-defendant at the trial would be damaging to the defendant.
If I'm that other defendant and those statements really aren't applicable to me, I don't want them coming into my trial because of the spillover effect.
So with separate trials, legal experts say the trials will not happen at the same time. So at this point, it's unclear who will go first, James or Jennifer Crumbly. We are live tonight. Will Jones, Local 4.
All right, well, we'll be watching how this develops. Thank you. Well, despite the fact he wasn't on the field for the Penn State game, University of Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh held his weekly press conference today.
And while he didn't directly address the Big Ten suspension handed down late Friday afternoon, he did have a few things to say, putting his defiant nature on full display. Rod Maloney is live in Ann Arbor tonight with what the coach had to say. Rod.
Well, Karen DeMond, this is the theme of what he had to say. Now, we went to get one of those free Harbaugh T-shirts, but they're sold out. And Jim Harbaugh knows exactly what he's saying and what he's not saying at a press conference. You have to listen very carefully, and so we did. But there's one message that we took away, and that is when he goes to court on Friday, he's going to come loaded for bear.
Who's got it better than us, is what we like to say. Nobody.
Jim Harbaugh may have been angry about finding out on social media of his suspension on Friday. He refused to say it, though, instead saying,
It's a mission of speaking truth to power. It's a mission of playing for each other.
Making it clear his players did nothing to deserve this.
They're walking upright and innocent and just taking care of business.
Watching the game on the hotel television, Harbaugh said he already knew how his team and offensive coordinator Sharon Moore feel about him, returning the favor, minus the profanity, with a message for the Big Ten.
This got to be America's team. America loves a team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers and critics, so-called experts think.
Harbaugh said he would save all of his thoughts on a suspension for his Friday court hearing. The university seeks a temporary restraining order, allowing him to be on the field for the Maryland and Ohio State games.
Due process. Not looking for special treatment, not looking for a popularity contest, just looking for the merit of what the case is.
Now, the Big Ten is going to come in and argue that they have convincing evidence provided by the NCAA that Michigan, for all intents and purposes, cheated. And so it's going to be an interesting juxtaposition. We're going to certainly be there front row center to see if, in fact, the coach makes good on his promise to talk come Friday. Back to you.
Rod, you'd have to imagine the team is preparing a little differently for this week's game. Did you say anything about that?
Well, what he did say was that they're going to prepare just as they would for any other week, with the possibility of him being on the sideline and him not. If not, Sharon Moore once again will be the head coach on the field. And also, this is a big game for the University of Michigan because Coach Harbaugh pointed out that if they win this weekend, it's 1,000 victories for the University of Michigan football team, and he says that is historic.
It is. Okay. Rod, we appreciate your report this evening, and we will have some bonus reading on the Harbaugh situation over on our website, clickondetroit.com, including why the sign stealing scandal might just keep Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. You can find links to that story right on our homepage and the sports page. Also, we are all in on these Detroit Lions. Yesterday, it came down to the last second, but they got the job done on the road in L.A.
Yeah, Bernie's here with us now. We've got the Bears coming into Ford Field this weekend. How are things looking?
Oh, I think it's really good. Yes, very good. The Bears will be here Sunday. That's a 3-7 high. 3-7 Bears team. They're last in the NFC North. Then 2 weeks later, they meet again in Chicago. My advice is don't get all worked up about either meeting. As for the Lions, 7-2, coming off an offensive show yesterday in L.A. against the Chargers. Short time ago, Dan Campbell said the offense and defense were definitely on different paths.
We feel like, all right, man, we got our flow back here a little bit. Found a way to win, and now we improve from here, So I felt like there again the offense took a step up, and defensively we took a step back. But I know that we're about to take 3 steps up again. I believe that.
All right, 1 o'clock Sunday at Ford Field. And yes, everyone is getting healthy because there was a bye last week, so everybody
had
a
chance to get healthy.
Yeah.
We'll see a bit later in the show. Bernie, we appreciate it. All right, the work week is off to a beautiful start. My goodness, let's take a live look outside at the Michigan Train Depot. This is from our downtown Skycam, and we're really settling into a nice mile stretch here on the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we sure are. Let's get over to Ron Hilliard. He's in for Kim Adams tonight. Hey there, Ron.
Hey, Damon and Kimberly, we are looking good. Sunset just minutes away. That happens at about 5:14 in Detroit. And it is stunning out there. If you're going to be driving toward the west, make sure that you do have those sunglasses or at the very least, a working visor in your vehicle. 60 still right now in Detroit, 55 in Howell, 54 in Pontiac, and 57 in Adrian. One of the things that we'll notice, the winds. If you're driving a high-profile vehicle, that could potentially be an issue. Those winds are coming out of the west right now. Clouds and radar. We are pretty much seeing clear skies. No rainfall anywhere around us, but there is some in the forecast. So this evening, we still have the gusty winds. They do let up a little bit later on this evening, but we have a small craft advisory that continues into tonight. And then we're going to talk about cooler weather and when that rain arrives.